Hello everyone, the calendar has flipped to October and consequently every game under the lights on Friday night means just a little bit more as teams try to secure a playoff spot or enhance their positioning for the postseason. If I had to pick favorites to win at this moment, I'm probably not stunning anyone because the rankings spell it out pretty clearly, but I'll go Shanley in 3A, North in 2A. Hard to bet against the defending champs from Velvet Drake Animus Garrison in Class A, and in 9-man, I'm right on the fence right now between Sargent County and South Border. I think the Bulldogs have better depth, size, and seniors, which might give them the edge, but the Mustangs have something special going right now. Something so special that this Midco Sports game ball, sponsored by Farmers Union Insurance, is heading their way after that performance that sophomore QB Berkley Frantz had in a win over 5th-ranked New Salem-Almont that secured the program's first ever region title. More on that big day from Berkley in a bit, but let's rattle off some of those top performances. The nomination list was huge this week. Couldn't fit all the performances into our top 10, but shout out to guys like T. Silling, Gunnar Thielges, Carson Hare, Easton Simon, and Javin Freeze, who all continue to do their thing. Hare just back from injury, and Freeze already with over 1,100 rushing yards and 22 touchdowns on the season. Might just call his position playmaker instead of quarterback. Okay, to the list we go. Sam Adams-Vandal didn't have to touch the ball much to have a major impact in Fargo North's 38-20 win over 4th-ranked Red River. He had the two most explosive plays of the night. After Red River got within one early, he took the ensuing kickoff return back 75 yards for the touchdown. Then in the second quarter, he helped push North's lead to 2 scores when he hauled in this 66-yard touchdown pass from Ethan Welk. He picked a great time to score his first 2 touchdowns of the season. Well, I think quite a few people were surprised when 4 wins Dang committed to play football instead of basketball in college. But with what he's been doing lately, I don't think you can question it any longer. The future UND Fighting Hawk hit the trifecta again, scoring in all 3 ways on offense. That's 2 straight weeks. Listen to these numbers while you marvel at the highlights. Dang rushed for 267 yards and 6 touchdowns. He passed for 35 yards and a score, and he caught a pair of passes for 35 yards and a touchdown. Add it all up, and you have 340 yards of offense and 8 touchdowns. Indians have a huge one against Dane Hagler and that Northstar squad this week. They need a win to have a crack at the playoffs. Well, 1 week after suffering their first loss, the Dickinson Midgets bounced back with a massive win, topping Jamestown on the road behind a great effort up front. The Midgets rushed for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns in the victory over the 2-time defending state champs from Jamestown. Shout out to the guys up front: Tyson Schneider, Ethan Halverson, Dylan Smith, Trayvon Littlefield, Braden Barnhart, the tight ends Caden Krieg and Isaac Schulte, along with that fullback Tristan Stallsworth. The Midgets need one more win to reach 6, which would be their most since 2015. Well, the Cheyenne Mustangs heard all week about how great Minot's defense was. The Magic came to town with a 5-0 record, highlighted by 4 shutout wins. The Mustangs showed no fear and attacked all night. The biggest star was former starting quarterback Caleb Deere, who has made the move to receiver. The results on Friday? Pretty darn good. 7 catches for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. One in which he reached over the top of a defender. We used to say nothing runs like a deer. Well, nothing catches like one either, apparently. The Horace football team is starting to stack wins at the same rate that houses are going up in the town of Horace. The Hawks defeated Central 22-15 on Friday for their 3rd win in 4 games. The Hawks turned their home field into the no-fly zone, making 5 interceptions on defense. 3 of those were takeaways by senior Charlie Laszowski. He was great commanding that secondary and had 2 picks of his own in the 4th quarter, including the final play of the game. Can Horace keep momentum rolling this week against Red River? We'll find out. The North Prairie offense is operating like a steamroller right now. They were on the list last week for rushing for 500 yards and 8 touchdowns, and they had so much fun that they decided to do it again. Blake Matson and Haviland DeLong combined for 555 rush yards and 7 touchdowns in the rout of Northstar. The Cougars are really starting to roll. Well, if North Prairie is a steamroller, Shanley is a sonic boom. They're playing faster than anyone else. Legacy had no answer for Landon Meyer in that offense. Meyer passed for 428 yards and 6 touchdowns while adding a 7th score on the ground. All those stats before getting pulled after one drive in the third quarter. Sam Oshek hauled in 4 of those touchdown passes to go with 173 receiving yards as the Deacons scored a season-high 69 points. Ray Powers Lake got back in the win column on Friday with a win over Kenmare behind Cody Rice's 6-touchdown performance. Rice rumbled for 162 yards on the ground and snaked a trio of receptions for 54 yards. The Outlaws drop 5-2 to Lax Burlington next. Nobody has been able to hold Velva Drake Animus Garrison under 40 points this season. Junior QB Ben Shep lit up the scoreboard all night in the win over Stanley. He finished with 337 passing yards and 4 combined touchdowns. The Aggies, well, you could say they're ready for the postseason. We round out the list with an O for Oaks, an O for oh my. Did you see what Trey Skoglin did defensively in Friday's win over Mayport CG? Skoglin racked up 17 tackles, 3 of them for loss, 2 sacks, and a pick 6. Throw in the rushing score on offense, and that's a pretty dominant day at the office for the standout senior. Huge game against Lisbon on Friday night for the Tornadoes. Well, top performers in the books. Now on to this week's Game Ball winner presented by Farmers Union Insurance. A little bit of context. In 2020, South Border finished 1-6 overall. They've continued to improve, playing in the same region as perennial powers New Salem and Grant County Flasher, and they finally knocked the door down to win the program's first region title. Friday night, in a top 5 showdown at New Salem-Almont, sophomore quarterback Berkley Frantz orchestrated a gem of a performance, completing 7 of his 8 passes for 137 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also turned 7 carries into a whopping 192 yards and 2 scores. He gouged the Holstein defense for big plays all night in helping the Mustangs dominate the defending state champs 50-12. South Border's first win over the Holsteins comes on their 5th try, and it gets them a game ball. Head coach Evan Melmer sent in this Mustang helmet about a month ago, and now he's getting one of these footballs in return. Congrats to Berkley and the Mustangs, along with the rest of our top performers this week. Check out the latest episode of Varsity Sports Live anytime on our Midco Sports YouTube page, and make sure to tune in Friday night at 10:30 for another live show. We'll see you then.